Meher Baba, this was an announcement or a pronouncement night and day. At any time you ask him, who are you? You are the avatar. Nothing else but the avatar. I thought to myself, it was very difficult for me to digest this. He calls himself the highest I. What about the other saints? What about the other yogis? What about the other rishis? What about the perfect master? How could he be the highest of the high? As time elapsed, and I found that it was nothing but the truth, and what he said about himself. Himself is not in an egoistic way. Meher Baba is the ocean of love, but he is also the slave of the love of his lover. He does not only say that he is the highest of the high, but he says, I am in the lowest of the low also, everywhere. Now, it is not easy for common persons, even those who are in search of truth, to accept this. One day a man comes to Meher Baba and says, Baba, why do you call yourself as the avatar? Why don't you call yourself an ordinary saint? There will be thousands of followers for you. It is because of this word avatar that we cannot have as many people accept you. Oh, then you think that I am the saint, huh? Yes, says Baba, I believe you are the saint. But don't call yourself as the avatar. It is too difficult to accept. But I am a saint, huh? You accept me as a saint, yes? Then do you think that a saint is capable of telling a lie? No, saint cannot tell it. Saint always tells the truth. Then the saint says, I am the avatar. What do you want me to say about myself and at what cost? Can I be dishonest to myself? What is it that I gain by? On the other hand, sir, let me tell you, sisters and brothers, that if I have been with Baba for 47 years, if he had really called himself a saint, I think there would have been millions of followers today. He had such a personality, and he had such power, he had such peacefulness, he had such love. But the truth had to be told, at the cost of anything. And he said that I am the avatar. Once what happened, I was called at a reception by one of my friends in Taj Mahal Hotel, one of the biggest hotels in India. I went there. This man by name Mr. Munshi, he recently died. He was a political leader. He was the once governor of Hyderabad. And he's a very well-known man, a very vastly read man, having practiced so many yogas and having written so many books. This has become a problem. Thank you. That's it. What a wit. So Mr. Munshi came there, I was introduced. He was quite a fairly aged man. I shook hands with him. Oh, you are the secretary of Avatar member? I said, yes, sir. Who is the avatar in this age? We do not know. Aurobindo calls himself the avatar. Ramakrishna Paramahansa says avatar. Ramana Maharishi says avatar. And Swami Ramtirtha said avatar. I said, I beg your pardon. Aurobindo did not call himself as the avatar. Maybe he may have used the word here and there. His devotees and his lovers may have called him as the avatar, but he did not claim himself to be the avatar. Nowhere have I read there. Neither Ramakrishna Paramahansa called himself as the avatar, nor Ramana Maharshi called himself as the avatar. But here is Meher Baba, day in and day out he says as the avatar. No, it is too much. He says it is too much for one to claim like this. Sir, it is too much for you to accept. It is too little for me to say about him, I told him. Oh, then said, Mr. Irani, will you meet me? He's a very rich, wealthy, well-known man. I said, yes, sir. I will meet you at your house. You are a very busy man doing everything. But I am also a very busy man doing nothing. But it is more difficult to do nothing than to do everything. Bear in mind. And if you give me time, you must be ready to meet me there. You should not have my time wasted. No, sir, Mr. Irani, I will be ready. And he was At the strike of 10, the next morning he was there and I talked to him for 2 hours. His wife was also a very enlightened woman. We had a long talk. And not a single word this man contradicted at all. He heard me and he said, yes, you have been talking about so many yogas and so many other things and these are the paths, these are the ways and all that. And he said, he was very happy. So now going back to the point of Meher Baba's avatarhood, I tried to disbelieve it in many, with all my might. I loved Meher Baba very much. But I had not fallen in love with his avatarhood until at a very late stage. And I was bent upon not accepting. But there were very clear indications. It's a long story. I'm not going to repeat that story, which gave me the conviction. Or if you want, I shall say this. What do we say? Shall I say this or go on, proceed? Jack. Maybe that is. At times he becomes my guide, but many a times I have to be his guide. Now, let us try to see what is the position of this avatar. Highest of the high, this same as Zoroaster was Rama. During the time of Rama, there were many perfect masters. In fact, Janaka, the father of Rama, was himself the perfect master. But nobody is called, even till today, nobody is called avatar excepting Ram. He was called Sadguru, he was called Satpurush, he was called Rishi, he was called Muni, he was called this, he was called that, but none except Ram was called the avatar. So that is the position of the avatarhood. Now where is he and what is he? Let us try to find out. We are only sailing in the domain of intellectuality, for the matter of intellectual understanding. The domain of experience is far beyond. And Meher Baba has made such a demarcation between the two that he has explained 3 aspects of knowledge. One aspect of knowledge is intellectual knowledge. The second aspect of knowledge is the knowledge gotten out of sight and seeing. And the third is becoming one with the object, identifying oneself with the object, and that is the only knowledge which is conclusive. The rest of the knowledges are not conclusive at all. Intellectual knowledge may be this or may be that. In my opinion it is this, in somebody's opinion it is that. We really do not know. We can arrive at the truth, a comparative truth, but not the final truth at all. Now the second stage is sight and seeing. I see him sitting before me. If the whole world comes and tells me he is not, I shall say no, I see him. Because this is the knowledge gotten out of my sight and seeing. He is sitting before me. How can I? So that is the second type of knowledge, which is more conclusive comparatively than intellectual knowledge. Intellectual knowledge is a thing you take of you, 2 things or more, compare and contrast, and you come to the conclusion. That is intellectual knowledge. Knowledge gotten through sight and seeing is that you see the object before your eyes. But seeing is also sometimes becomes a deceitful. You do not know. From a distance you see there is a vast sheet of water, you go near and find that it is a mirage, it's not water at all. Still you go further, try to find water, it turns out to be mirage, it's not water. So appearances can be delusive. It is not conclusive. So what is the conclusion knowledge? Meher Baba says conclusive knowledge is to become one with God. But I have not seen God, I have not felt God. To become one God, to become one with God is a far cry for me. But he says this is the only conclusive knowledge. The rest of all knowledges that come in between are only for the time being. And we should not try to involve ourselves much with that knowledge. Try to keep the final aim before your mind's eye. Meher Baba says there are 2 things. God at one end and man at the other end. And there is a path like this. And there may be thousands and thousands of things on the path we do not know. But they are the byproduct of, they should be the byproduct of our journey. We should not get ourselves involved into them at all. Neither those experiences. Because those experiences may be very heightening for the time being, just like a peg of a Johnny Walker Black Label. And again we shall have to take that to keep our spirits high. But that is not the way. You get much involved into it. You become an alcoholic. You become a spiritual alcoholic, and you do not advance further. And the final goal is absolutely lost. It is much better to go slow, surely, wait, have no experiences, Meher Baba says, and just come and align yourself with me, or submit to me, or become my friend. You may not accept me as the avatar. You call me anything. You may call me your brother, your relative, your friend, or anyone. Make friendship with me and make me your constant companion. For the matter of telling the fact, he says that he is the avatar. But he doesn't insist that you should call him as the avatar. You may call him as brother, you may call him as father, you may call him as mother, you may call him as friend, you may call him as relative, you may call him as master, you may call him anything. But he says, keep my company. Make me your constant companion, and through love. I want your love, I don't want anything at all. In the scheme of Meher Baba's things, renunciation is very great, but he gives no importance to the physical renunciation. Physical renunciation is not the final renunciation at all, because it is the mind that gets attached. Physical renunciation may be there, but if the mind is attached, you are not said to have renounced anything at all. So he wants you to keep your mind detached. Supposing there is a man who is sitting on the top of Himalaya Mountain, and his mind is in the gutter of Los Angeles. He is not there, he is here. You see. And a master in India stays near the gutter, but his mind and spirit is as high as the Himalayan Mountain, so he is there, he is not there. So physical proximity, nearness or farness doesn't matter at all. It is the mind that's the creator of trouble. It is the mind that's the creator of pleasure and pain. So that has to be controlled, that is to be won over. And Baba says one has to keep detached. He doesn't want you to detach yourself. Carry out all the duties of your life. Look after your relatives, look after yourself, look after your health. There is no sort of an asceticism at all. There is nothing like giving up anything physically at all. But mentally, keep yourself attached apparently or superficially to all the things, and keep yourself detached substantial. So when the time comes for detachment, you are ever ready. So I say, instead of getting old, the nature comes and gives you a kick from the back and says, come on, you resign from everything or you'll be fired from here. You cannot work long. So don't wait till you have to be fired. In your own life, resign yourself to God. Dedicate yourself to Meher Baba, or dedicate yourself to any God whom you have in mind, and honorably resign the position. And do not stick to it like a leech all the time, till nature comes and fires you out, kicks you out. That is the position. I would really want to resign rather than be fired. See, one important message of Meher Baba is that I have not come to displace anything. Everything is all that in front. But I have come to show you where is what. You have a human body, beautiful human body given to you by God, but you must know where the nose is. You must know where your legs are. You must know where your heart is. You must know your mind, where your mind is, where your brain is. And you must know the comparative importance of all the things. My feet are very important. Indeed, without feet, if I were to lose my feet, I would be at a great loss. maybe to earn my living, or do anything in my life, to drive a car, to run about and so forth. But do you think in spite of the fact that the feet are so important, they are as important as your heart? I'm asking you a question. Not at all. I would rather lose my feet if ever a time comes, but not my heart. If I lose my heart, I die. I will not be able to live at all. So my heart is very important to me. And Meher Baba says that is the seat, symbolic seat of your love. And that is what you have to give it to your God. You have to give it to Meher Baba. I shall say both the things together. The spiritual status of the avatarhood of Meher Baba and also his message. They will be rather intertwined with each other. I will not say one thing at one time, another thing at another time. It's up to you to understand. So most important, he says, is your love. And spirituality, as it is called Adhyatma in Vedanta, and in Sufism it is called Rohaniyat, and we call spirituality in English. The real spirituality only deals with your heart and your love for God. And the rest of all the practices in the world are to evoke that love of God in your heart. Meher Baba has never told anybody to give up this yoga or give up that yoga at all. But Meher Baba has said, if you do the yoga, do it in the right way. And the right way is to aim, all the practices should be aimed at evoking the love of God in your heart. One thing, and eliminating your ego, which is the bane of spirituality. If I do meditation, so I've seen men, yogis doing meditation for 14 to 16 hours in a day. And I used to have arguments with them. They are very, very nice men indeed. But I used to tell them that you do meditation, you gain so much. But don't you think that you get the pride of your meditation and you think I'm a great man, a great meditator or a great renunciator? करते खुद ही से मारे पिंदार हो गए, आजाद होते होते गिरफ्तार हो गए. In order to try to eliminate my ego, I got caught up in my arrogance of having renounced my ego. I renounced my ego, but the sense of having renounced has created a greater ego for me. So instead of getting rid of it, I got more and more captivated in it. So Meher Baba says, be very careful. It's a very subtle thing. All the yogas in the world can have good effect. All the meditation can have a good effect. But if they are not aimed at two things, evoking the love of God in your heart and not towards your self-effacement, they will not help you in the real spiritual way at all. And spirituality really is gained after renouncing your ego. And look at Meher Baba, you may not call him avatar, you may call him anything. He had a number of people along with him. I was one of them for nearly 4 and 5 decades. And he made them do things without the least demonstration and without the least without giving them the least feeling of their self-importance. There have been celibates all their life. There have been renunciators who have given up everything for the cause of Meher Baba. There have been people who have been all the time giving 100% service to him, but never for a moment they feel that I am something great and the rest of the humanity is smaller than me. Because Baba says, what is the good of having you renounce this? If you renounce it and you get caught up in a greater ego, it was better that you had not renounced anything at all. Remained only a man of the world, it would have been much better. But this is a great liability that you have created for yourself. By trying to eliminate my ego, I have earned $10,000. And having caught up in the higher ego of having renounced, then I have created a debt of $1 million. So where do I stand, I do not know. And Meher Baba is very objective. Objective in the sense that he says the free will is very powerful, the mind is very powerful, it can control many things. But you cannot really give up totally and completely and consummately unless you have the love of God inflamed in your heart. And that is the thing which burns everything in the world. And love is the greatest force in the world. It is only love that can overcome hatred, that can overcome ill feeling, that can overcome all the effects of the commissions and omissions of your life. It is the greatest force in our life. And it is not to be brought out from somewhere else and thrown into you. It is already there within you. The only thing is you have to give a proper direction. That's all. Everything is there within you. He has given in his discourses so many explanations about yoga, about rishis and munis, and about psychicism and all this, so forth. But for his lover, he has not advised to take up anything of that sort at all. He is not against anything. He says that everything is good in its own place, but we must know the relative value, where is what. And if somebody gets into the orbit of Meher Baba's love, then these things are not necessary. They are not bad. They may be in a way helpful to you, but it is absolutely not necessary for you to involve yourself in this at all. And love is the greatest force. And you can develop that love in the most natural way in the acts of everyday life. You remember God, or you be helpful to humanity. Every minute, every spare moment you can remember Him in your heart. He may be your God, He may be your Christ, He may be your Ghost, He may be Meher Baba, whomever you want to worship, he could be remembered. And there is no necessity for one to give half an hour or 1 hour time every day, sit in a corner and go on meditating. It is not harmful, it is very useful. It could be done. But if it is done in a proper way, what happens is this, that a man goes on doing, he thinks, I am a great man. I have done it, sir, and I have suffered. And the hands of Meher Baba also, he says, this is not the right way to do it at all. Be natural. Be an ordinary man of the world. My spirituality stands on its own truth. It is not demonstrative at all. My spirituality doesn't need a showcase to be placed in like a motor car of the latest model to attract customers to buy them. It is there, it stands on its own truth. And the truth that is shown to us by the avatar, always one. Now, this concept of avatarhood, I'm going back again, is such a vast subject that I don't think in one talk that I can really acquit myself of the responsibility of having explained fully. However, I'll make use of the time as best as I can. This avatar is something like the only force between absolute God and infinite illusion. Illusion is also infinite. God is infinite. But Meher Baba says God is absolute. Being infinite, it is absolute. Illusion is only infinite, it is not absolute. And where is God and where is illusion? Where is the link? Where is the bridge between the two? It is only the avatar. Not once, not twice, at all times. At all times of the period, He is there. Whether He is in the body, whether He is not in the body, the avatar is one always. He comes once between 700 and 1400 years, and humanity becomes forgetful, doesn't accept Him, casts aspersions upon Him, molests Him. Zoroaster was killed by a sword. Rama was sent in the exile. Buddha suffered privation. Christ was crucified, the avatar of the age. And Muhammad was sat upon his face, so much humiliated. And Krishna had to play the politics, being avatar himself. And Meher Baba suffered mentally very much, because the modern world is full of mind, full of thoughts, full of mental suffering or pleasure as they are. And that's why the suffering had to be mentioned. But Meher Baba said once that Christ suffered through crucifixion once, but every minute of my life I have to suffer crucifixion because the times have changed. So this avatar, where does it stand? At the top of everything. He is nothing else but God. The personification of God. If there is any personal aspect of God, there are two aspects of God, personal and impersonal. And the highest personal aspect of God is the avatar. God as God doesn't do anything at all. He is far removed, he doesn't bother. He is immersed. He is in himself all the time. But the same God, in the shape of the avatar, looks after the entire functioning of the world. Not today, tomorrow, or yesterday, for all time. It's very difficult to digest this concept. Only the concept, let alone the experience. Experience is a far cry. But for me to get at this concept and hold on to it, and be wedded with it, have the conviction of it, it took me really long time. It doesn't take as much time with everyone. Somebody takes it far too quicker than I did or many others did. But the concept is this. It stands there for all time. Avatar is there for all time. And he is the only link between absolute God and eternal illusion. One beautiful message of Meher Baba is, he says, what is love? Christ says God is love and love is God. And Meher Baba says, I cannot reproduce in his own words, but I will reproduce it in my own words, giving you the sense and the meaning of his message. The message is this: love is the reflection of the unity of God. God is one. Love is the reflection of the unity of God into our life of diversity. Our life is diverse. Our life is exists in manyness, and God exists in oneness. But where is the link? Where is the bridge between the two? And it says love is this. Love is the link between the two, and that love is activized by the avatar. And to gain anything through real spirituality, there can be imitation spirituality also. It can only be done through love and nothing else. Love is the only substance. Love is the only power which can bridge the gap between man and God at any time. But one should know how to love. There are loves and loves. I love my wife, I love my child, I love cinema house. Somebody goes to a prostitute's house and his love is there, and that fellow's love is there. These loves are all spread out loves. When I was first attracted to Meher Baba, it was exactly this love that you see made me really go to him so speedily. Avatarhood and the condition of avatarhood were different, but I just loved him at the very first sight. For the simple reason that the love that he lavished upon me at that time was so great, so overwhelming, that I thought to myself, Adi, my mother loves me so much, my father loves me so much, my friends love, my relatives love me. And really here is the ocean of love, and all these small loves, I feel that they are small ponds of love. If I collect all these ponds together, they could hardly equal the ocean of love. So why should I run after these small ponds? They may be my relatives, she may be my mother, she may be my father, but why should I ever miss the opportunity of staying with him, obeying him, the Master, who is the love personified, and he is the ocean of love, and he expresses his love so openly to me, and that's why I was attracted towards it. Nothing else. And from that time, I was myself fond of so many yogas and so many meditations and all that. I have gone through all that. But I have seen, it is only the love. And Baba says all these practices are towards evoking that love of God. If it is not for that, you can get many other things. There are quite a number of yogis who can perform miracles, but they are all different forces altogether, and they involve themselves more and more into illusion than getting out of it. So Meher Baba says, do one thing. You have to do nothing at all. The only thing is for you to do is, you entirely dedicate yourself to me. And I don't want your money, I don't want your anything at all. But dedication is a great thing. I have to give my life to him. Life in the sense that I have not to take a sword and cut my throat and place before his... although the perfect Master Kabir has said in this word,